Welcome to Film and Page. I'm Dominic, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about Picard Season 2. So, I didn't really prepare any kind of notes or anything for this season. I just kind of go off the cuff of my impressions of Season 2. So, my overall impression right off the bat of Picard Season 2, it is some of the worst Star Trek I've ever watched. And that's saying something because I watched Discovery, Season 1 and part of Season 2. And I thought, no, they can't do worse than this. Even Picard Season 1, I think, was better than this season. And I thought this season, there's no way this can be bad. I mean, they're bringing back Q and all this kind of stuff, but that's my overall impression. This was bad. This was really bad. There's a few nuggets of a few good ideas in there, a few bright spots, but overall, I have to say I didn't like it at all. And apparently next season, the third season, they're going to reunite all the TNG crew. They're coming back for that third season, and apparently that's the last one. And I think, thank God, enough. But it's a weird thing. I have to watch Picard. Discovery I don't care about. I just gave up. But because for some odd reason, I just want to see where these oddball storylines go. And I don't know. It's painful. So some of the things I didn't like about it. One, okay, right off the bat, it was way too dragged out for 10 episodes. It's like they didn't have enough story to cover 10 episodes. So they would put obstacles constantly in the way of the characters that really had no point, just to stretch it out over 10 episodes. And I'll give a couple of examples of that later on. So I didn't like that. So again, the other thing, the time travel was convoluted. The way fans, people who defended the show, were trying to explain it. But they can't really explain it because what makes it convoluted is that there is a plot hole in Season 2. And I'll talk about that a little bit too. So the time travel didn't really make sense. If you ignore the plot hole, it makes sense. But if you factor in the plot hole, and it is a plot hole, there's no way it was planned. Because if it's not a plot hole, then the time travel doesn't make sense. So that bothered me. And then the other thing that bothered me was the past version of Gainen acted totally out of character. So that's and then the last thing is the writers want to connect everything in the Star Trek universe. So to me, that makes it feel small. That bothers me. And then the motivations of Q and why he did everything and the ending of this season bothered me. So that's all the major things about this season that bothered me and I didn't like. So I'll quickly run through the plot. So we pick up after the first season. All the characters have gone their separate ways and they're all doing their own thing. And then a weird anomaly in space shows up, like some temporal anomaly. So a fleet of ships investigate. One of the ships is the brand new Stargazer, being captained by Rios. And so they analyze the signal, and the signal is calling for Picard. So Picard shows up. Turns out it's the Borg. The Borg show up again. So they're using the Borg again. So anyway, the Borg Queen beams onto the bridge of the Stargazer and seemingly starts assimilating it. So Picard orders the destruction of the Stargazer, because if we don't destroy it, then she'll assimilate the whole fleet here. So they blow up the Stargazer. They're all seemingly killed. But then our main cast of characters wake up in an alternate timeline, or an alternate present, where the Federation is no more. Now it's the United Confederation of Planets, and it's like this fascist organization, very similar to the Mirror Universe, but not the Mirror Universe. So from that point, they find out that the Confederation has a Borg Queen captured. So now the thing about it is they're almost like in alternate universe counterparts. Their bodies. They're not in their usual bodies, because 7 of 9's, all of their implants are gone. But they don't have any of the memories of their alternate selves. So then they get the La Sirena. They all get back on board because there's an alternate version of that ship in this universe. And they take the Borg Queen and they do the old slingshot around the sun trick. Because apparently Q is behind this. So he confronts Picard and he's really mad at Picard for some reason. And he's even slaps Picard's face. And it's almost like he's mentally unbalanced. And then he tells him, I went back in time, made a simple change. And basically it's almost like seems like it's going to be like another test for Picard. So they go back in time, and the nexus point is in the past, in 2024. There's an event that's going to happen that will alter history. So the Federation never comes about, but this fascist organization does. So they have to fix the problem. That's the overall, and then solve the mystery of whatever's going on with Q. So that's the story arc for season 2. Now I'll get into one of the things. I'll give some examples of. So I'm going to be talking more spoilers now. So the example of them stretching things out, of putting obstacles in the way of characters to make the episode longer. There's 2 big examples of it in this season. So the first example is Rios gets transported, and when he gets transported to a spot where he's like above the ground, so he falls and whacks his head and gets taken to a hospital. So this hospital he gets taken to is where they treat illegal immigrants. So then they get raided by ICE. He gets captured by ICE and he gets deported. So now Raffi and Seven have to like save him. So they get him off the bus and all that, but like it doesn't go anywhere after that. Like nothing. It's just like was this thing they had to solve to get through, and to stretch out this season. That's how that played out to me. So, and another really bad example. There was another example of that is where they get Gainen and Picard get kidnapped, or not kidnapped, but get arrested by an FBI agent and held, and they are convinced that they're aliens, and this goes on for a whole episode. He interrogates them. You think this is going somewhere. This is going to have something to do with the overall plot. So it turns out this FBI guy really believes in aliens, because when he was a boy, he saw some Vulcans that came to Earth and were studying humans. And then they saw him, and then they used the mind meld to try to wipe his memory, but I guess it didn't work really, because he still remembered him. So finally Picard confesses everything to him. Yes, we're from the future, blah, 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 blah. And then, yes, you saw, and you really did see aliens, and this is what we're doing here. So he has to change heart, and he lets them go at the interrogation room. You never see that agent again. Never again. He's gone, and it's just like another thing that happened that had no point, just to stretch the season out. And that's what irritated me. And not only that, the character that played the FBI agent, he played a temporal agent on Enterprise. So everyone thought that this guy was gonna turn out to be a temporal agent or someone important. Turned out he was nothing. So there's that. So those were the things that really bothered me about this season, is they just stretched it out too long. And now I'll talk about the character of Gainen. Didn't act like Gainen at all. So in this present time, Picard goes to Gainen's bar, because she's been alive for hundreds of years, so she's alive at this point in time, living on Earth. Finds her, but she doesn't know who he is, which doesn't make sense, since Picard already encountered her in the past during the 2-part episode Time's Arrow, where Picard had gone back in time, and then Gainen was hanging around with Mark Twain, so she should have remembered him, but she didn't. Now the defense of that is, well, because that whole timeline was altered, so then that episode never happened, so they couldn't have gone back in time. So then, if that was true, the logic should dictate that if they fix the Nexus and they eliminate that alternate future, then when they go back, that Gainen shouldn't remember that past event. So it should work both ways. But of course, Gainen remembered it, so therefore it's just a plot hole, in my opinion. And there's other things that, that there was other evidence of, past time travel from Star Trek happened, and so you could see the events of it, because at this point they're before the Nexus happened, and so that future hasn't happened yet. So it's still like the possibility still exists. So anyway, it didn't make any sense. I could go on and on, but I did a whole video about that. But anyway, there was that. But then on top of that, Gainen didn't act like Gainen at all. She was like very bitter, hated humanity, wanted to get off Earth because, humans were horrible. And it was just, she kind of goes on this political rant. That here's everything I don't like about the world. I don't like all the global warming and fake news, and people believe all the news is fake, and blah, 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 blah. Very current day politics. Now, to me, I mean, if you want to make that statement about current day politics, I think they should have done it through another character. Someone who, or did it in a different way with Gainen. Because to me, Gainen was always a character that was above it, if that makes sense. Gainen has been around a very long time, been in contact with all kinds of alien races, and she already lived on Earth for hundreds of years. So you mean to tell me this is the worst she's seen of humanity was in 2024, and not the 1800s when she was bud palling around with Mark Twain? Like, it makes no sense. So she didn't act like Gainen at all. So that bothered me. And so then the other thing is Q was dying, but we never found out why he's dying. Nobody knows why he's dying, and so he's not his usual self. And then we have Brent Spiner is basically like the main bad guy of this season, because he plays an ancestor of Noonien Sung, Adam Sung. And so Q manipulates him into causing this nexus to happen. So he's like a key figure of this nexus. He's the one that stops. Okay, so the nexus, I guess I should explain that quickly. So the nexus point of this time travel is Renee Picard, an ancestor of Picard. She went on a mission to Europa, made a discovery that changed the course of humanity and led them on the path to the Federation. Now, the minor change in time that Q made was that Renee Picard didn't take that mission, didn't go on that mission, didn't make that flight, so never made that discovery. And instead, it was Adam Sung's research and technology that cured all the ills of humanity instead of her discovery. And he became the key figure of history, but because of that, it led the Federation down this dark path. So that's the two branches. So Adam Sung wants to stop Renee Picard from taking that flight because he wants to have his technology take over, and he wants to be remembered. So Q is manipulating him, and then you got the Borg Queen gets thrown in there, and she kind of assimilates Jurati, and Jurati becomes the new queen, and then they kind of help Adam Sung at the same time. And it just like there's so much going on in this season for such a boring season, it's hard to keep track of it. So anyway, there's that whole subplot going. There's a bunch of subplots going. So I guess I'll just cut to the chase. So I'll just talk about some of the things I liked. So it'll be a short list. So I liked the design of the Stargazer. Stargazer looked really cool. I really liked the character of Rios in this season 2. He was a really good character, but then they ended up getting rid of him in this season, which bothered me. I liked the idea of him being a captain of the new Stargazer, and I think you could have done a mini-series or a streaming movie of that with him in it. I think that would have been good, but now his character is gone. So that really annoyed me. And then the motivation at the end, why Q did what he did, and the whole thing with Picard and his mom didn't work for me. I had no interest in it. And then the reasons why Q did all this I thought was stupid. And I don't know. I thought it was a really bad season. I know a lot of people liked it, but I thought this was like terrible Star Trek. And then again, the other thing, having everything linked together, like linking everything, makes the universe feel small. So what I mean by that, I'll give an example. So they bring back an old idea from the original series, the idea of Gary 7. So there's a character like, it's not Gary 7, but it's one of the same people as Gary 7, but she's a Romulan. She was recruited to watch over Renee Picard. And then it turns out there's a cameo at the end by Wesley Crusher. So Wesley Crusher shows up and he's the Traveler. So it turns out the Travelers are actually in charge of these Watchers, and they're the ones that assign the Watchers to these planets. So you took these two ideas and you linked them. So, and they do that with a few more things in the series. And to me, when they do that, it just makes the universe feel small. It's like people always wanting to have V'ger and the Borg linked, so that the machine planet that V'ger encountered, or Voyager 6 encountered, was the Borg home planet. They, they enhanced it and sent it back. But that, to me, that never worked because that, I don't know, it just, the technology never seemed compatible, and it just always seemed stupid. But doing things like that makes the universe seem small. So I don't really know what more I can say about the season, except I was really disappointed with it. And I'll watch season 3. Apparently that's the last one, and they're going to bring back the TNG cast. I feel like I have to watch it just to see how bad it's going to be. That's how I feel at this point. Picard is like a train wreck. So that's everything I got to say in this video. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and I will see you at the next one. I'd like to say thank you to all of my subscribers. I appreciate you all in helping this channel grow. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded.